by kind of telling you a little bit about myself. We'll just take one and pass it around. So, Tamara Crane, I am actually one of the founding members of what we now know as the Bridge. Back in about 2004, we were the Alzheimer's Agency of Shreveport Bossier. It was a group of about 8 people that we saw the need for local support for those dealing with Alzheimer's, dementia, and their families. So we created this organization back then, and it has been amazing to see it really come over all the years to what is truly now the brick and mortar and to groups like this. And that's what we knew what this area needed. And so it's a great honor as a founding member to be able to come back full circle and actually do these kind of little workshops and stuff with y'all. So I have a master's in gerontology, and I'm a former nursing home administrator, and I'm also a certified dementia practitioner. Grants and government documents and stuff. But dementia and family caregiving and everything is really the heart of where I am with stuff. I also have a special needs son, and everything I do is I want him to be active and remain in his community, which is, I'm sure where y'all are, is you want to have your loved one and support your loved one to remain in their community, whether it be with you in their own home, as long as possible. And so that's what I hope today is give you some tools and everything to possibly find those supports and stuff. So as Laura said, I am with Bossier Council on Aging, but what I'm going to talk to you today is we'll go over some of the stuff that Bossier does specifically, but the councils on aging are all across Louisiana. So we're going to have a little bit of trivia first. This is not a dementia test, so don't worry. There is a council on aging in every parish in Louisiana. So how many councils on aging are there? 64. 64, that's right. So that is something that legislation did right back in 1975, is they said they wanted our older community to have a local resource. And they put a council on aging in every parish. That way no one ever had to go further than their parish to find supports, okay? And I'm also gonna say this, I have family in Houston. My mom lives outside of Houston. There is something of what we're talking about across the whole United States, because we are a federal program first. And we were actually funded by the 1965 Older Americans Act. So all across the United States, there is going to be something like what we talk about. How it's called is just a little bit different. In Louisiana, we're all councils on aging, because we're in every parish, that's what they call us, okay? But in my mom's area in Texas, they are called the Area Agency on Aging. And I say that because we are a very widespread community. I don't know if any of y'all are from Louisiana originally. Anybody transplants? Come from a different state? Where'd you come from originally?
Arizona.
Arizona, okay. So in Arizona, there's area agencies on aging. Does anybody have kids in a different state than Louisiana right now? Okay, so wherever they are, they're gonna have this kind of thing. And it is really nice because just like with my mom, she's 67. Don't tell her I told you that. We gotta
delete that off of there.
But whenever she started needing some help with some of her Medicare and stuff like that, despite her only child's expertise, she just didn't want to believe what I had to say. So I got her connected to her area agency on aging down there in Bossier County. So so just know that. So anything as you're talking to friends, family, or whatever, and they talk about anything senior issues, remind them there's something like this wherever they are, okay? Louisiana, you would tell them, find your local council on aging, all right? So we're gonna delve right into what the council on aging does, or maybe what you think it does. So y'all have cheat sheets in front of you, because again, we're not trying to test y'all's memory or dementia here right now. What do you know about the Council on Aging? Not a thing, he said. Okay.
Meals on Wheels.
Meals on Wheels. And that's the most common thing that people think about when they think about the Council on Aging is Meals on Wheels. So what the actual program that we do is called Home Delivered Meals. And I say that because Meals on Wheels is its own organization that actually anybody can join. A local church can join Meals on Wheels and adopt a few people and bring them in. We are also at the Bossier Council on Aging part of Meals on Wheels. But our program is called the Home Delivered Meals, and it's where we deliver meals out to homebound seniors. Criteria is usually going to be homebound, not able to perform, or have someone who can perform that do the service of what they're asking for. So with meals, it would be cooking and everything. I am going to say this, in Bossier, we are actually going to a new method of our home delivered meal delivery system, July 1. During COVID, we were blessed. We are, like I said, we start at the federal side, so we're a governmental agency. We had a lot of governmental money coming our way during COVID. And so we tried a new program called Mom's Meals, Some of you may have gotten it. Some insurance companies will do a mom's meal drop delivery after you've been out in the hospital for a little bit. And it actually has given our seniors a lot more autonomy. They can pick their menu. Are you familiar with the mom's meals?
Yes.
Okay. What was your experience with them?
Oh, they're wonderful. My mother, she receives them.
Okay.
Now. We get it every week.
Mm-hmm.
And the number of meals are based on your qualification.
Okay.
She gets 14 meals per week.
Okay.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah,
Nice.
14.
That's amazing.
And that can be breakfast. I mean, you can make the selection,
That's right.
mix it up. Breakfast, lunch, dinner.
Mm-hmm.
They have soup. I mean, it's a very good menu.
And is she on any kind of specialized diet? Because they do specialized diets as well, which is what we've heard our seniors like.
No.
Okay.
No.
So we have seen in Bossier, we do have quite a few seniors who are on like renal diets, diabetic, sometimes no salt, but even gluten-free and kosher. So they offer a bunch of different menu options, so they get to pick and everything and stuff. So that is what we're transferring over to effective July 1. We're going to be phasing our clients into that. We currently have 5 meal routes where our drivers deliver door to door Monday through Thursday, and we're going to be transferring out of that, and they'll do a drop delivery where they deliver meals to the clients every 2 weeks. They'll deliver a box of meals and everything. Other councils on aging do things differently. Some do a hybrid. They'll do some drop delivery, some door to door. There are a few councils on aging that are strictly like the mom's meals. They just do drop delivery. As we even will at their sites, they just have this meal come in, and then when you go into the sites, you pick a meal from whatever they have available and everything. So, so Meals on Wheels is certainly one of those things that is available all across the state and everything. Did you have a question? No? Okay. So anything else? You understand?
On that mom's meal, they give you a menu.
Correct.
To select.
That's right.
And
And the menu changes about every month or every other month?
no, pretty much it stays the same. They
Okay.
keep adding new meals.
Okay.
They add some new meals.
Okay. We noticed during COVID, like when we came out of spring and went to like summer, fall, the menu changed. And then when we came back into like winter, it seems like maybe every couple of months with the seasons, maybe depending on what's
the holiday
available.
meals.
Yeah, what's available, stuff like that. So yeah. Any other idea? Yes.
I had an interesting experience with Caddo Council.
Yes, ma'am.
A few years back, we had a renter who would not run his air conditioner because he couldn't afford it, and he became ill, and he was just so miserable. So I went to Council on Aging, and they gave me a great big fan that I took to him, and I just always remembered that was such a nice thing that he could have that free fan.
That's correct, and we are doing that right now as well. So, and I think that's going on at all the councils, the fan drive, we accept new fans, all sizes, because I have some folks that like the big ones, and I have some folks that want the small one because they want to take it to their room or take it back to their living room or whatever. So the councils on aging are doing fan drives, and pretty much the same criteria is you must live in the parish, be 60 or older, and then you get a fan a year. I have had someone go, well, how come they keep getting a fan every year? I'm like, these fans break. Because a lot of the folks run them 24/7 because they don't run the AC. And so I had one gentleman one year, he goes, this fan's broken. He'd had it about a month. And I was like, bring it back in. So he brought it in and we plugged it in, and you could tell it had been running. It was just being yucky. We plugged it in, sure enough, it was just like, So we just threw it out, gave him a new one, you know. So certainly try to support through that. And what we also do is we do a blanket drive in the winter time. Fire department has asked that we do not give out electric blankets. So we collect blankets, brand new, all sizes, shapes, fabrics, and we give those out as well during the winter time. Kind of odd, Louisiana's had a couple of really hard winters lately. There were a week of freezing, and we were all kind of shut down and hunkered down and stuff. So we definitely were giving out quite a few blankets and everything during that time. Anything else that y'all think, or y'all are reading, y'all are cheating, it's okay. And we call it the answer book. Anything else that y'all see that maybe you're like, oh, I didn't realize y'all did this, but I thought y'all did. So that's it, we're done? So you mentioned I'm gonna be your new best friend. Tell me what it is that you had hoped to learn today from Bossier Council on Aging.
My husband is getting harder and harder to deal with.
Yes, ma'am.
Back time.
Mm-hmm.
He gets really upset when I say take off your underwear, so
Okay.
you get in the tub.
Gotcha.
And then when he gets in there, he doesn't do a good job of washing himself.
Okay.
And I know that they can send someone that'll give him a bath.
Mm-hmm.
which might take the stress off of me.
Perfect. So what she's talking about is the Caregiver Respite Program. And again, I was gonna say, these are some of the programs that are actually available through all councils on aging. How they do it's gonna vary a little bit, okay? But that's through the Caregiver Respite Program. And again, these are federally funded programs. They come through the feds and then they come to our state. We actually report under the Governor's Office of Elderly Affairs, and then it comes to the local councils, okay? So under the Caregiver Respite Program, one, there has to be a caregiver identified. And I'm gonna make the presumption that some way, shape, or form, y'all are all caregivers here, right? There we go. So we identify there's a caregiver in place for the senior. And then we go through and, try to identify what is the supports that you need. We do that, I don't know, I'm not gonna try to get real medical and everything like that, but we have what's called activities of daily living and caregiving for someone. When someone is needing help with their activities of daily living, that is bathing, dressing, toileting, getting in and out of bed, walking, and eating, okay? That's the basic care, all right? Then we have the activities, independent activities of daily living, IADLs. And that's gonna be things like shopping, managing the money, doing housework, driving, helping them with the phone, that kind of thing. So those are things that kind of help you be independent of your daily living and everything. So in thinking about that, anybody in here helping their loved one with any of that stuff?
Mine can't do it.
Anything?
Yes.
So you're pretty much helping them with some of that and all, yeah.
Everything.
Yeah. So that's why I love this group like this, is because sometimes people, and having done this since 1993, sometimes caregivers don't always recognize when they're caregiving, because it's just kind of that natural. Are we all spouses? Sometimes are we siblings, parents, children? Spouse, and some parents and children and child, okay. So sometimes when we're in a caregiver role, it's not always that natural role, okay? And like myself, my son's 21, I should not still have to be doing some of the things I'm doing for him because of his disability at the age of 21. So I'm now still considered caregiver for him. Same thing with spouses, it's not always that you would have to do certain things for them. Same with a parent and child, would you have to do these things? And lots of times caregivers go, oh, well, it's not that big of a deal, it's just what needs to be done. But when you recognize that you are in this role as a caregiver, yes, it needs to be done, and it's great that these folks are blessed to have y'all and do this, because there are some people that don't. But to recognize that y'all are in a caregiver role, and that means something different, because it's not just the same as being a spouse or being a parent or a child. When you're in that role, it is taken on a different level and everything. So with the Caregiver Respite Program, we do have the respite program that actually we pay for someone to come in and help with certain things. How we run our program, and Caddo is similar, is it's 4 hours every other week that we pay for, okay? We are actually transitioning into a new company July 1, and we are contracting with Elite, which is a caregiving private duty sitter company here out of Shreveport, and we cover that cost. Clients can contribute back into the program. The suggested contribution that we say is $5 per visit. So that's $100 value that someone contributes, $5 if they contribute. Not always, and everybody does. Then we also at Bossier, we have a lot of other caregiver supports, because recognizing that comes with just more than just that kind of stuff. We get donations of incontinence supplies. We get donations of wipes and gloves. Medical equipment like transfer boards, because sometimes if somebody can't really stand real good but they can slide across that board, the handles for the toilets or the tubs, shower benches, walkers, wheelchairs. People donate this stuff to us. As long as it's in good working condition, we accept it, and then we just give it right back out to the community for free, okay? So again, with that though, we have to have a caregiver identified with the client, okay? There are instances with us where the person may live in Bossier, but the caregiver lives someplace else. I have one right now that she lives in Washington State, but she is actively involved with her dad because she orders all his stuff for drop shipment. She schedules all his doctor's appointments and has a bus pick him up, and then she's able to track it and know. And then she does, Laura mentioned the Zoom, she does telehealth. So once he goes in the doctor, they telehealth her in. Because she's like, I need to be active and involved, but I can't be there all the time for this. She comes in like twice a year. So she's certainly found her role in caregiving and made it what can work for them. She also has installed some different things in the home. There's some agencies that do this kind of stuff. Alarm systems with cameras, not so much that they're gonna be on all the time, but if the person doesn't move from the bedroom to the hallway, an alert is sent. So that means the person hasn't gotten up for the day. She has his medicines in a thing that goes off and then tells him, and if it's not removed, it lets her know, and that way she can then call, Dad, let me open your medicines up, So she's very technology savvy, because she was like telling me some of the stuff, and I was like, oh, I didn't realize the medicine thing would let you reopen it. I thought once it closed, it closed. But a caregiver can be anywhere, okay? So a caregiver can certainly be like some of y'all's roles are, where you're there day to day or week to week, but it can also be somebody who's doing it remotely, but still very involved in that and everything. Then we also offer, though, for some people who maybe don't have that caregiver but need a little bit of help, we have homemaker assistance. And that is where we do go in the home and do light housekeeping. Like I said, that's usually when there's not a caregiver identified, though. So you were nodding your head about the medicine thing. Is that something you're familiar with?
I did do the hero with my mother at one time.
Okay. Did it work for y'all during that time?
She wasn't, it was great, but
Okay.
she wasn't very compliant.
Okay, so that's...
She'd take the medicine and put it in the drawer.
Okay, so she could remove it from there, but then just not... See, that's the human error you just can't get away from, So yeah, so she was taking it, but she's not actually taking it and everything. So yes, so there's certainly certain things that that still, even with technology and everything, there's just not the replacement for that human touch and human contact with stuff and everything. So yeah, so that is the caregiver program that we have. We, like I said, we are transitioning at Bossier Council on Aging. Caddo does the same thing. Is anybody here from somewhere besides Caddo or Bossier? I know at one point we had a Bienville person that I thought was talking to us and stuff. But the bridge does cover all of Northwest Louisiana. So just remember that, all 9 parishes up here. So if y'all know anybody, I know all y'all probably connected within the community, but we do cover all 9 parishes of Northwest Louisiana. So a couple other things that we do, because obviously y'all are able to get out and about at the senior centers. Caddo has a couple of senior centers. In Bossier, we have one in every town. So what all towns do we have a senior center in then, y'all? In Bossier Parish.
Bossier
Yeah, what towns are in Bossier?
and Benton.
We have Benton, that's right.
Bossier City and Benton.
Bossier City's another one. I got 2 more towns. Houghton.
Plain dealing.
And Plain Dealing. There you go, Laura. Those are the 4 major towns in Bossier. So, so we do have senior centers in all 4 of our towns. They are active except Plain Dealing. Plain Dealing, we are looking for a site manager for that one. So they are temporarily closed right now until we locate staff. But at our senior centers, we do things like activities and exercise. And I'm just going to say this because I know some of y'all have loved ones over there doing some activities and stuff. When y'all leave here, how are they? When y'all leave after they've come here and done some activities?
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Are they kind of tired? They kind of mellowed?
No.
Just happier.
They're happier? Okay. All right, happier. More engaged a little bit at that moment and stuff? Okay. So one thing that I found when I did run a memory care facility is, of course, we had, which I'm sure y'all are all very familiar with, what was sundowning, that afternoon time behavior when things tend to get a little tense and they really want to do more and stuff. But if we really engaged our folks that are suffering with Alzheimer's or dementia, that they tend to, one, stay happier. Also, when you engage the mind, you also kind of get tired a little bit and stuff. I mean, after I've had a hard day at the computer, I kind of feel like I'm a little brain tired. But then we're supporting that caregiver because we've engaged them and that caregiver has that break. So at the senior centers, we do have activities, like I said, exercise classes, crafts, bingo, and I'm sure some of y'all have probably heard it, the use it or lose it, and sometimes it's those simple things like bingo. Bingo is one of those things that I see that they can still usually do very long into a diagnosis because it is that rote of the numbers and the letters. The focus of knowing if they got bingo may not always be there, but the application of knowing that number and that letter to apply and everything is usually still there. But anything to get them out, get them engaged, keeping them a little bit active and stuff. Because one thing that's also very common with someone with Alzheimer's dementia is they're still physically very able. Do y'all see that? I mean, I saw them all walking in here and everything. And I have a little story I tell of a gentleman and a lady. They were both in their 90s, had been married 75 years, and she had dementia, and he was taking care of her. And he came in tired every day to the site. Every day he was just, oh, please just do something with her. And she literally danced the mayor out of his boots because we had music one day. And they were playing guitar and everything, and she was just a dancing, and the mayor's like, I gotta take these boots off, they're rubbing me. And so he's dancing barefoot with her, and she's just a dancing. And he was so excited because he got home and she took a nap for a change and stuff because she was a little bit tired. But we certainly recognize that even though we are at the Councils on Aging are not daycare centers, we can support a lot of our individuals and the families that take care of them. I certainly, again, being a certified dementia practitioner, I know how we can support some folks sometimes a little better, but sometimes there comes a point where we can't. I had a gentleman that his wife was bringing us to us. She was a little bit younger than him, and he needed to have reminders to take medicine, and he wandered. And the first couple of days we were able to go, wait, come back, you know. And then the last day, she wouldn't pick him up till roughly 2 o'clock. And so we would try to keep him over in the living room area, whereas most of our seniors all left at like 12:30. So he was, you know, kind of by himself, and he was just like, well, what am I gonna do? And kind of wander around. And so one day he's like, well, I'm gonna sit outside and wait for her. And we're like, no problem, if it gets too hot, you need to come back inside though. And she come up to the building about 2:15, and she's like, where is he? And we're like, well, he was just sitting outside 5 minutes ago. Like, we saw him on the camera sitting right there. And then we look on the camera and we see him heading, our location is by Bossier High School. I don't know if anybody knows where Bossier High School is, but we saw him heading toward the high school on the cameras. And when I talk about the physical ability of some of our folks, this is just how quick this happened. In less than 8 minutes, he made it all the way past the high school, down 3 blocks, and was trying to enter a building through a locked door, and they had called the police. And I was like, okay, see, we've been working 3 days on this, and obviously his care is way more than what we can provide. And she was pretty much, I don't know what to do, I have to work. And we did recommend a daycare type center that had, you know, areas where they could keep him secure. And I even told her, I said, you may need to consider like an assisted living. If you have to be at work and you can't do sitters or you can't do some of these other options, unfortunately, we're just not the most proper place at this point. I even suggested if you want to get somebody to come up here with him, that would be fine. He just can't be left alone. But I mean, he could use the restroom, he could walk, obviously, he could feed himself. It's just the ability of the safety awareness and everything. So, so when you're looking at your different sites and your senior centers, understand what your person needs and what their supports are for your loved one. And that way you can have a very open conversation, because in the beginning, we were like, yes, we can certainly handle this. We just can't give him medicine reminders. Like, never mind. I'll call him and tell him it's in his pocket and tell him to take it, you know. But then that third day, whenever he wandered off, that was certainly a scare for all of us and everything. And he was safe and stuff, but so many things could have happened. So, so that is the kind of stuff for our senior centers. We do offer the meals. We talked about home delivery meals. We also offer meals at our sites. And that's when seniors come and they do the fun stuff, kind of like what they're doing over there. They come, they do the exercise, the activities and stuff, and then we do offer lunch at our sites as well. Our sites right now are all open Monday through Thursday. From 9 to 12 is when activities are planned. Our main location though is open Monday through Friday, and the hours are on the back of the brochure for that. And that is where someone could come find information. Even on Fridays, our main location is open. We have people come in and play pool, play some games. We have exercise equipment, and anybody can come during our hours of operation for that.
Can Caddo residents do that? Come over?
Yes, we actually say anybody can come play with us, but in order for us to serve you in your home, you have to be a Bossier resident.
Okay.
And I do want to clarify, because do y'all know that there's part of Bossier Parish in Shreveport?
Yeah.
And part of Shreveport.
Yeah, so where is it, do you know?
Well, it was where the river changed courses.
That's right, that's right.
Is it Anderson Island?
Anderson Island, and then when you go a little bit further down, Clyde Fayette, there's another river park, I think is what it's called.
Mhm.
Those are both Bossier Parish, but inside Shreveport city limits. So I say that because I say we cover Bossier Parish. Well, when it came up one time, somebody called me and said, hey, I live in Bossier Parish, I need meals. I'm like, whoa, you're in Shreveport. And so then we called the Shreveport, and they were like, well, this has never come up before. Do y'all get the money or do we get the money? Because we get an allotment through census through the feds in the state. So we called the governor's office, and they're like, which way do we go here? You know, because this is certainly something you don't deal with every day. And so what we found out is it follows the city guidelines and stuff, so even though if someone lives in that Bossier Parish part of Shreveport, they would be followed by the Caddo Council on Aging. But yes, anybody can come play with us, 60 or older, and we just still do an assessment. And we have a really amazing system. We've been supported by Senator Peacock through some funding through a car rental tax, and we were the first in the state of Louisiana to get a sign-in kiosk where you swipe a card or enter your phone number, and when you do that, you just touch in what you're here to do that day, and it automatically updates our system. So we still have a couple of things we signed for paper, but overall, it's all through our kiosk and everything. We are still the only ones in North Louisiana. I do believe Natchitoches was getting on board within the next couple of months, but we were the first in our state to do that, so we're super excited about that. So, yes, ma'am.
Do you leave them there, or do you stay with them at the centers?
Do who lead them? You lead them or we lead them?
No, do we leave them at the centers?
You can, like I said, as long as, again, recognizing that senior centers are not medical, you know,
Right.
daycares and stuff like that. You can. Activities are roughly from, like I said, 9 to about 12. Some people like, oh goodness, Tuesdays are beanbag baseball day, and then we do crafts or something. So if that's not of an interest to them, they may not be very engaged that day. So just depending on what's going on. And again, that's Tuesday for Bossier site.
Right.
Houghton and
I'm
Benton,
Bossier.
yeah, Houghton and Benton do their own calendars as well. So like Houghton, I think their beanbag is on Thursdays. So each site has their own calendar of days and stuff. So I would definitely say look at that and see. And then I always tell folks, especially when you're in a caregiving situation, maybe attend with them a day or two and, you know, see how they do and stuff. And you know your loved one better than anybody. You know, are they gonna be able to handle being separated from you, that kind of thing. But if they're at risk for wandering, we do just say, just know that we're not able, our doors are not locked. People can come and go. I had one lady when I first started there, been at the council 13 years, and she didn't really have dementia. She had like a B12 issue deficiency that was causing some memory and cognitive things. Very quick, happened onset very quickly. And her daughter picked her up every day from the site, every day. And it was just, I mean, for 5 years, daughter always picks her up. And one day, just in this moment of some memory confusion, everybody's going to get on the bus, and she just goes and gets on the bus, and the bus driver didn't really realize, like, they knew they had an extra person, but they were like, oh, somebody must have got dropped off. That's not uncommon for people to get dropped off and then us take them home. And they were like, where do you live? And so she told them where I live, and at this point we're calling him going, do you have so-and-so? And he's like, yeah, I was taking her home, because she knew where she lived, but just did not remember the daughter was coming. And so had a little panic within that moment and stuff, but like I said, all ended good with that one too. So, but yes, they can come and be left as long as they're, you know, functional and stuff like that. And again, if anything, we recommended caregiver stay with them or somebody else come. Before COVID, we actually had a couple of assisted livings and some of the disability communities that have intermittent care facilities. They would bring a couple of folks out and, you know, do some stuff with us and everything. So we certainly, you know, welcome that, and the more the merrier, we say. So when we do exercise, we have yoga. We have 2 different exercise programs as well on videos that we do. So just different stuff that can be tried out and everything. So yeah.
Do you have to let you know ahead of time, or?
No, your assessment, what we say is your first visit is free. We say just come, try us out, take a tour, see what it's like, and then when you come the next time, like if you know, yes, we're coming, we want to be active, involved, that's when we do the paperwork. Paperwork takes about 10 to 15 minutes to get done and everything. Caddo, like I said, I know they have senior centers as well. I think they have one that's not far from here, the Randall T. Moore one, right over on Kings and
Fairfield?
yeah, Fairfield. Their operation hours are on their website and everything, but they have a couple different senior centers all throughout the parish as well, and how they would run theirs may be a little different and stuff. Our offices are located right there in my Bossier building, so that does make it kind of easy because our main staff is right there, and then we do have our site manager, whereas some of the other facilities, they may not have offices there. They may be remote working and stuff. So, but our whole goal for every council on aging, I can say, is to help support seniors and their caregivers, supporting their loved ones in home. And I kind of tell this to people when I go to Baton Rouge. I go to legislation a lot. I speak to our police jurors in Bossier. We do get funding from our police jury in our city. And looking around a group like this, I think y'all definitely would get it, is people want to remain at home. And whenever you probably bought your home or moved into your home or your apartment or your condo, it was probably where you thought about, this is where I'm gonna be till I die. This is where I want my grandkids to come and visit me at. It wasn't where you moved into and you said, I'm gonna live here till I have to go in the nursing home. You know? And I also ask usually, how many people have kids in here? You remember when you were getting ready to have that baby, you got your bag packed to go to the hospital? Anybody got their bag packed to go to the nursing home? Because that's not where we wanna go.
No.
And so that is what the Council on Aging is. We want to support, and whether it's making connections, just like the bridge does, is making connections to get y'all connected to other entities and services that can help you and your loved one remain at home with the proper supports. And sometimes there's going to be hard decisions that come with that, and realities, and accepting what you're able to do and what you're able to do with supports. And it may end up being that someone may have to go into an institutional level of care. And if that's the case, the bridge has great resources on that too. But we want to try to support people the best way and the longest at home, and how we can do that. So Bossier Council on Aging, you've heard me talk about a couple of our services. One thing I haven't talked about yet though is our transportation. We do offer transportation for Bossier. All of our buses are 100% handicap wheelchair accessible. And we also offer transportation to grocery shopping, and to our sites. So sometimes people go, well, I don't drive, I can't get out. Well, just because you don't drive doesn't mean you can't get out. It just means that you have an issue with driving. So we have buses that can pick people up and everything. Our medical transportation is the only thing we have a mandated charge for, besides bingo cards. We have to charge for bingo cards. It's $10 round trip. That doesn't matter where we're picking you up or where we're taking you to. It's $10 round trip. And people can ride along too, because I've had some people go, well, my husband was the primary driver, I have my own issue, but now he needs more help, but I need to go with him, can I ride along? And that's fine, it's still just $10, we don't charge $10 each or anything. So we certainly offer that service as well. And everything else that we offer is free. Contribution based, our contributions stay in the program of which they're given, whether it's $1 for a meal or $1 for riding the bus to the grocery store. Everything else is covered by our government, our grants, donations, and the fundraisers that we have. Now, because of that, we sometimes do have limitations, and we do have waiting lists. Like I mentioned earlier with our Caregiver program, our last contract was, we were paying over $20 an hour. Our current contract, we're paying $25 an hour. So $100 value for a 4-hour visit. So roughly somebody's gonna get $200 a month because they get 8 hours a month. And if somebody only gives $5 each visit, that's only $10 going to that program. I wish we could put a lot more into it, but funding is what we get. So sometimes we do have waiting lists. We do look at every person individually and uniquely at our company, and we certainly try to look at each criteria, because I had somebody recently that their loved one needed help with all those IADLs. Anybody remember what IADLs were?
Independent,
What were some of them though?
paying bills.
Paying bills,
Driving.
heavy housework, light housework, cooking food, those are your independents. So her person was very heavy in that, but they needed no help with bathing, dressing, toileting, any of that kind of stuff. And if you're a caregiver and you're doing this versus this, that bathing, dressing, toileting, feeding is a lot more intensive than paying the bills, driving somewhere, that kind of thing. So we had to tell them that yes, your person needs help, but this person over here needs help with more than this. So we do look at each person and their situation very uniquely and stuff. And we accept and know that even though help may be appreciated and you may want my best friend to come in and help you and stuff, you're bringing someone else in your home. And you're bringing someone else in your home to care for your loved one as well. And that can be a transition too. So we recognize that as well. So we are excited to get on board with Elite. Looking forward to them helping serve our seniors and everything. And you know, we try to do the best we can, and sometimes things still come up, and we say if there's issues, we got to know about it before we can fix it. And sometimes we can fix it. Sometimes it's just that I had a gentleman and a lady recently that he needs help with her, and he calls us almost weekly. I need help, and we've sent 3 people over there, and every one of them she don't like, she can't stand, she's ugly, she cusses them, she's hit them, and now it's like, I mean, and I get it, it is part of this process, but one caregiver's like, I'll keep going, I'm fine, but he's like, I can't bring her in because she's getting so upset, and then she turns on me too, the wife, and so it's just that choice he's had to make, and what can he do? Even the daughter, when she goes over, she's very volatile with the daughter and stuff. And the caregiver position, he just feels so uncomfortable tending to some of those needs of hygiene and bathing and toileting. And that's where he needs the most help with. So we're trying to help the family find, and it may be that she may have to, she's actually in rehab right now, post-hospital. And so trying to see how that's gonna work for him if she's in rehab and everything, so. But it's a process, as y'all all know. It's a long road, and I just wanna commend y'all and tell y'all what a good job y'all are doing by taking the step of even being here and bringing your loved one to an activity, getting them out, and y'all trying to find other resources and stuff. Any questions? And again, I can answer on most anything council related, or if you wanna make it specific to me as a gerontologist, certified dementia practitioner. I'm not medical, I don't diagnose. Kinda like I'm not a lawyer, you know, so.
We have used, both the counseling on aging before, and we were very pleased. We used the homemaker services and also the caregiver services.
Oh, good.
But, my mother moved to another level of
Okay.
care, so. she
Needing
needed-
some more help.
Right, so, but
Okay.
we were very pleased with this.
Are y'all still in Bossier now, or?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
good,
But we were very pleased with the
Good.
service.
good. Yeah, we've had quite a few good homemaker ladies, and it's always sad when one of them leaves us and somebody goes, but I just want this one back, and I'm like, she's not with us anymore. So, yeah. Did anybody not have something answered that they wanted to possibly learn today?
Do you have a waiting list for this caregiver service right now, or?
We do. We do have a waiting list for the caregiver service. Actually what we are doing, I'm in the process of, because we are transitioning over to the new company, so we have some folks that were getting it that were really only using it for like housekeeping. And so we are really taking those folks off. We're putting them on like a housekeeping waiting list, and we are putting only caregivers on this caregiver service. And I say that because, anybody work for the government in here? Ever? Okay, government, y'all did. We have to dot our i's and cross our t's. So whenever we get our bills, it's a log that actually shows what's done in that person's home. Did they help with laundry? Did they help with bathing? Like, what did they do? And that way we can show, did they help with just the activities of daily living, like the bathing, dressing, or did they help with like the light stuff like housekeeping, that kind of thing. And when we assessed over the past 6 months what some of these folks were getting, it really was just housekeeping. Whereas I had people who were waiting for the more help. So we are transitioning some of those folks, but I still have a waiting list. I think it's gonna be 9 people, that's what we counted this morning, that are on the waiting list. So yeah, and I don't know about other agencies, I don't know how theirs are, that's just me personally, because we just did this week. So yeah, yep. And I always say this to people, don't wait until you need it. Go ahead and, cause like again, I have people who applied 8 months ago, but we're going through their stuff because that's when they applied. And we got all their information and everything. The other thing that I do want to tell y'all folks too, as a couple other resources, and I don't know if y'all ever touched on this, but if you're a veteran or VA connected, there is an aid and attendance program that will help pay for caregivers. What they do is they actually increase the veteran's pension, then you pay for your own person. So they don't provide the person, they just, if you qualify, they increase the pension for the veteran and everything. Yes, ma'am?
My husband and I both are.
Mm-hmm.
Vietnam
Mhm.
area. We didn't have to serve in Vietnam, but because we were in right in the
Correct.
middle of it, then we qualified.
Yeah.
Except when I went to the VA, they said, I can't put him in the VA home because I have too much money.
Yeah, so there is their qualifications, correct. But you might ask about the VA aid and attendance though, because it may have different criteria than the VA home.
It does have a level.
And I think I
And
have
it's-
information on the aid and attendance as well that I can send you.
And that might be a good speaker to have come, is
Yeah.
somebody who can come talk about specifically that and maybe the VA home and the
Yeah.
different criteria, those things, and that way you could target your veterans and stuff. The other one is if anyone is on Medicaid, there is a program called Louisiana, or it's called the Long-Term Personal Care Service, LTPCS. and that is for someone, Medicaid will pay for someone to come in your home and do caregiving, okay, but the person has to be on Medicaid. And there used to be waiting lists for that, but even before COVID, they took the waiting list down. Some people will often ask, well, does the company provide the person? So and they can say, yes, you can go find a company and they will send you a caregiver. Staffing is hard right now, y'all. I don't know if any of y'all run businesses, have worked in businesses, but you've been out in the community, you see staffing is hard. If someone qualifies for either the VA or even the long-term personal care, if you have someone that you already know, you can bring that person and go, I've got her and she's eligible to work, and then they'll bring that person in as your employee and stuff. So when you have someone you're bringing in, that's usually better, but you can sometimes go to agencies and go, I don't have anybody, I don't know anybody, can you work with me? And then they can try to find someone. But that's also through the Medicaid program as well.
That veterans home, your husband should be able to go in there, but there would be a cost. It's $4,500 a month, which is probably cheaper than other places.
Very
It
cheaper,
is.
yeah.
Actually, they told us it would be $2,050.
Oh, well, even better,
Even better, see.
yeah.
Now,
But
because
because of our assets, he doesn't qualify to go in there yet. I can only have $138,000.
Oh, okay.
I don't have way more than that.
Yeah.
you need to check back with them. I have a reservation there now for me and my wife both. And,
Yeah. And your house and your vehicle should not count against
That
you.
doesn't count
Yeah.
against me.
that should
What
not.
I have in the.
It's like
Yeah, your other
IRAs,
stuff,
stuff
yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Retirement.
But there's certainly always little ways to work stuff. I know that y'all probably had people talk about estate planning and different things.
Right.
There's legal ways to
Right.
protect your assets.
Yes.
And as a former nursing home administrator, I can tell you this, what he just said, and as you even said, 2,500 versus 4,500. Oddly enough, Shreveport Bossier has been the cheapest in the nation for almost 20 years, and we're still at over $6,300 a month for a room, okay? And that is the cheapest in the nation, all right? Also, as a former nursing home administrator, I don't care where I get paid from. I don't care if it's out of your private pocket, out of the VA, or out of Medicaid. I'm getting the same money. So if you can legally protect your things, go do it, because as an
Yeah.
administrator, it don't make a difference to me.
now, the difference is probably on how much disability your husband has. Does he have disability
He can't.
through the
file.
VA?
No,
Oh,
no,
the-
he
Oh, does it?
wasn't disabled from the government.
See, they give me an 80% disability. Veterans home is free for me.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So,
And that's the thing is, you might definitely, the VA would probably be a really good one, because there's so
Yeah.
many things within the VA program. And I kind of say this, like, I know a little bit about VA and a little bit about Medicaid, but they're each so level, there's so many levels, and if this happens, then this happens, and if this doesn't happen, well, then that happens. And having someone come in and really talk about that, because there are, like, you may two people be sitting side by side, and one goes, well, I qualified, well, I only qualified for this, well, why did I only qualify for this? And kind of understanding, sometimes it's way too much, but it is, but especially if you have a group of veterans that would really help and everything, because there are some supports resources out there. And again, that's the great thing about the bridge, is they're just gonna help building those bridges and get you connected.